Welcome, welcome, welcome to the second annual Chicago Critics Film Festival. My name is Eric Childress. I'm one of the co-producers of this festival, the only festival in anywhere programmed entirely by film critics. The Chicago Film Critics Association is responsible for this event, and we have an entire week planned for you. We want to get this started for you tonight, and I want to introduce to you a very special guest. We're so happy to kick off the festival with this film, They Came Together. Please welcome David Wain.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. So exciting. I'm so excited to be in Chicago. I'm from the Midwest, and I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Yes, let's hear it. And I always fantasized, watching romantic comedies that I would, someday live in New York and walk the streets and live a romantic comedy in New York, which I never did. I lived in New York, but it was never like that. But so now this movie is sort of my love letter to that sort of thing. The thing though that just I want to explain about the movie you're going to see, They Came Together tonight, is that it's largely about these two characters. One is played by Paul Rudd and one is played by Amy Poehler. Yeah, it's great. That's really great. But it's important to understand that there's actually a third main character in the movie, and this character is equally, if not more important, than Paul's character and Amy's character, and that character is New York City. Not to put too fine a point on it, New York City is almost like another character in this movie. By the way, Chicago, great town. Got here earlier, got on a divvy up and down the waterfront. Nice. Good work. Nice. Critics picked us to be in the festival and to open the festival. It's just really awesome. This response is so gratifying. It's great. The truth is, we couldn't afford to shoot in Manhattan at all. It was all shot in about 2 blocks of Brooklyn. It was quite a low budget affair.
It's difficult to tell at times, although I say to some certain degree, I think you have some affection for these kind of films.
Huge.
Yeah.
No, I love this genre. It's maybe I've probably seen more romantic comedies than any other genre. And I really, really love it. And I love the formula. And I even love the sort of middling ones, which I think we're most referencing here. I have a real weird love-hate affection for the ones that only are following the tropes and don't even know how to rise above them. And so some of my favorite moments in this movie are just doing it, not even making a twist on it. The truth is that when Michael Showalter and I first made Wet Hot American Summer in 2001, it came out, and we went to Los Angeles. We were living in New York, and we pitched to a studio in Hollywood this idea, which we thought of as a very mainstream comedy idea at the time, which was like, it's a scary movie, but for rom-coms, which they've actually done before, and although not back then, it was in between now and then that they did that movie, a romantic movie, I think, which I never saw. But our idea was, it'll have like a reference to every famous romantic comedy, it's very specific in it, and that is the script we originally wrote. And it did have a lot of the same material that's still here then too, but we loved it, and the studio didn't do it, and then we tried to do it in other ways, and it never got made, and so it sat in a shelf for a long time. And I was literally reading in bed with my wife one night, and we were laughing so hard we couldn't breathe. And so, for fun, we just got friends together at the San Francisco Sketch Fest and read it out loud. And the response was so overwhelming. And Paul and Amy were in the reading, and they came up to me afterwards, and they're like, "Let's just make this. Let's get like a small amount of money and make this." And that's exactly what we did. Part of our ongoing thing is like, we know that in our hearts this is nothing like date movie or those kinds of movies, even though on the surface, I guess it is. You know, it's a spoof of a romantic comedy, but it was interesting to us to think about how to sell it all along the way in the process and make people understand that if you hate those kinds of movies, you still might like this, you know, and vice versa.
It also it assumes that the audience actually knows how these things work, which is kind of on another level from something like a date movie.
Well, I will say, earlier versions of this movie, after we shot it, we screened for regular audiences, not cool, smart people like you guys in Chicago, but dum-dums in Los Angeles, and a lot of them didn't get it. They watched the whole movie and it was crickets from beginning to end, and they were just like, that was a really banal, like, I feel like I've seen that storyline before. Some of the dialogue was really stilted, and I feel like, you know, Paul and Amy were not that funny, but we actually then late in the editing process, came up with the idea of them telling the story at the restaurant, and that was a one-day shoot we did like a month ago. Because we felt like we had to spoon feed it and say, this is what this is, don't take it seriously, and it's worked, and I think I'm very happy with how that worked out.
Paul Rudd has been in a few of these films, these romantic comedies. What would he sort of bring to the table?
Well, I think he really was excited to do the flip of the movies, the kinds of parts he's often asked to play and cast. I mean, for every kind of everyman rom-com lead Paul Rudd has been in, he's probably turned down 30, you know, and he, I think, was ready to bury it forever with this, maybe. And so I think he was very excited to do that.
Do you have like a very like a favorite kind of gag comedy, like on the like Top Secret or Airplane, things along those lines? Like you've done a lot of really great sketches before, things where you really did. That's the cheesiest question in the world. But
No, I liked it. I thought it was a good first question. What do you guys think? I thought it was well put. It was nicely worded. It was succinct. We had a little scuffle with the mic business at the top, but everything's fine now. For me, I mean, you know, I think the Rosetta Stone, and this is not an uncommon point of view, is Airplane. To me, that's like the first that I was aware of, probably. And also, I mean, for me also, I loved Bananas, Love and Death, and Blazing Saddles, along these lines, you know. And I think to me, I also compare this in some ways to movies like Austin Powers, you know, just movies that are more about jokes than anything else. That's kind of the genre that I would like to associate it with. But yeah, Spinal Tap. The truth is that we were without an actor for that at the very last minute, and Michael was rehearsing a play on Broadway with Paul Rudd at the same time as we were shooting the movie, which was a true pleasure in terms of scheduling. And he just said, hey, do you want to do this weird thing? And Michael Shannon showed up having no clue what was going on. I'm the co-writer and director of the film, and I probably exchanged no words with him. I was like, hi, how you doing? He's like, what is this? And I was like, can you, and we did that, I think, well, like everything in the movie, we did it maybe twice, and then it was like, he's like, I gotta go. And, so, it was awesome.
Just handed him a sword and said, do something.
Pretty much.
Just thought if we could maybe hear anything about Wet Hot American Summer 2, any news?
I wish I had a more, you know, full-on blast announcement to make, but we really genuinely are doing it, and it's happening, and an announcement is pending. I'd love to hear maybe from a white guy. I see we have a number of them lined up, and we've heard from a lot of them. That's good. Just to mix it up, I'm glad.
Have you had any experiences personally with a mime or a clown that are memorable?
Next question.
Actually stole my question, but
Everyone's going to ask the same question. I'm so sick of answering it. You know. watch my clip on the Today Show. I can announce here the new season of Super Jail is going to hit the airwaves on June 15th. And it's really great. It's awesome. Super Jail is an animated show on Adult Swim Network, which if you haven't seen, you got to catch up on if you are a stoner.
You had mentioned that you enjoyed like all the different tropes of the generic rom-com, and as you were putting this movie together, was there one particular one that you were like, I need to get this into the movie, or I really am looking forward to filming this?
Well, I mean, truthfully, everything that we ended up filming was kind of something we were really excited about, and we cut hundreds of other things at various points in the process, and then in the editing, the same thing. One of the things that I was most excited about, many of the things I was most excited about on paper, we ended up cutting. One of which was when Molly is upset that she was dumped, suddenly out of nowhere, all of these different types of women come out of the woodwork in her candy shop, and they have a big dance sequence, like, let down their hair and forget about men, and like, and an old Motown song comes on, and they're just like going nuts and letting loose. This is not at all what you asked me, but another thing that I was excited about was we had a scene where Paul was going to his grandmother's house, but he forgot to put on his pants. And so he runs outside, and it's sort of the classic, like, oh, I forgot my pants. But then a female construction worker is up above, and she's like, oh, baby, you must be a baker, because those are the juiciest buns I've seen all day. And then Paul walks like one step to the left, and you see that she actually was addressing a baker. He's carrying a tray of buns, and he says, "Ah, merci beaucoup." And then he turns around, and his bare ass is bare.
Looking forward to those in the director's cut.
You'll see it in the DVD.
Hi, David.
Hello.
You are my idol, my inspiration.
Thanks. Come on, don't stop.
My second question is, what can we look forward to you directing and writing in the future?
Well, interestingly, I just directed and executive produced this pilot on NBC called Old Soul that Amy Poehler was a writer and producer on. Then the cast was, get this, Natasha Lyonne, Rita Moreno, Richard Benjamin, Ellen Burstyn, Fred Willard, Marla Gibbs, Nick Thune, and Greta Lee. And just today, NBC said no. So you can register your upset with them on social media, all you can.
Will do.
But to answer your question though, I do this show, I'm like an executive producer, showrunner of a show called Newsreaders, which is on Adult Swim, which is another season's coming out soon. And then we're about to start shooting the 6th season of Children's Hospital. And this movie, by the way, opens June 27th in a select theaters and VOD everywhere. So I do appreciate if people spread the word hard, because there's not a lot of marketing behind it.
It is opening here that day too. So
Yes.
in this theater. So
bring people, come see it again. By the way, see it again. You've missed a lot of stuff because you were laughing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
The pacing of this movie is so relentless. One joke after the other. Was that in the screenplay, or was that in the editing process? You realize, how did you decide the rhythm of the film?
That's a good question. Definitely the intent was obviously that it would, the intent was always that it would be dense with jokes. And the jokes would be the main reason, we knew that the story was not the main point of this type of movie. If that's not an understatement. And so that was the intent. But when we screened it, we didn't realize just quite how much we could actually still keep cutting to the bone. And so the movie that we shot is, this movie's under 90 minutes. This movie's more like under 80 minutes. And the movie we shot, cut what we thought was tight, was about over almost 2 hours. And so we just kept cutting. And then we added that restaurant stuff. And by the end, what's in the final cut is only the funniest stuff that I thought, got the best reaction or that was our favorite stuff. Sometimes, it was a constant editorial balance though, because if you just do joke, 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 no matter how funny it is, it gets laborious and tired. And so we were trying to always figure out exactly when we needed to just like actually tell just enough story or do a little something with character or just take a breath. I mean, it was always, it was a constant dance. Thank you. It was really, I had done 2 studio, bigger budget things before this one, and yeah, it was a lot of fun to have more control, and we still actually did this with a studio, Lionsgate, but they did it sort of in a no longer going on micro budget experiment they were doing at that studio, and so they did leave us alone pretty much, and it was really fun to shoot really fast and really low budget and to kind of just do whatever we felt we wanted to do. But it was a constant, I have nothing, I can't remember what I was going to say. Who cares?
This is very off topic.
Oh, God.
The warden.
Yeah. This is back to Super Jail. We
I'm
talked about that
sorry.
earlier. No, that's fine. I just want to make sure people understand what the hell you're talking about. The character I play on Super Jail, this cartoon, is the warden.
The
Yes.
sadistic Willy Wonka, if
Yeah.
you will. Can you just do his laugh really quick?
It's just me, right? I mean,
That's you.
I don't even know. This voice, it's not really a voice, so. I mean, how does he go? He's like, ha, ha, ha. I don't even remember. I think he's got doesn't he have an assistant and he's like, Antoine, or whatever his name, Jared. I haven't seen it. I go into a room and they have all these lines and I just say them and they're like, okay, here's $300. You know?
All right, so as with all the films you're going to see this week at this festival, please, you've got many months to just talk about how much you love this movie, either to your friends or whatever avenue of social media you choose to travel on. But please talk this movie up if you loved it. And David, thank you so much.
And for God's sake, go see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.